Ashley Cleveland. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give her a round of applause. Thank you.
Thank you, Jabu. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. How are you feeling? Good. Great, fantastic. So my name is Ashley Cleveland. If you can't tell, I'm American born. I currently live here in South Africa with my two daughters in the front, Zanaya and Penelope. We relocated from the US back in 2020 and have been living in Tanzania as well as South Africa for the last 5 years. And so I come to you today as a novice, or I was officially orange-pilled yesterday, and my perspective has shifted completely on the use case of Bitcoin, and I want to just share a little bit of that experience with you today. So when I was introduced to Bitcoin, it was back in 2016, and there were some guys, talking about how they were making money every week buying and selling Bitcoin. So I got involved, and I was losing money. And they were boasting about how they were making money. And it just felt like gambling to me. And I don't like to gamble, and so I pretty much just abandoned the idea. Oftentimes when we don't understand something or we fear something, we just discard it. We remove it from our perspective, and we assume that there's something wrong with it. We fear what we don't know. How many of you all have had an idea about a thing, a perspective about a thing, and then when you finally experienced it for yourself, your perspective completely shifted? How many of us? Yeah, exactly. So that's exactly how I feel right now, standing in this room, about Bitcoin, but also about Africa. That's essentially was my perspective, because I was completely unaware of the beauty, of the value of living here, as well as the economic opportunity of Africa 6 years ago. And so, now where I'm standing 5 years later, I've been able to sustain myself in my business, bring my family here. Well, we were all here at the same time, but sustain myself through content, sharing my experience online, and helping over 100 people directly relocate themselves, their financial futures, and ultimately their lifestyles to the continent of Africa. I'd say we've supported thousands just with our tools, and then impacted millions just through our content and shifting their perspective. And one thing that I do see clearly now that I did not before was relocating at the time for me was about safety. And I didn't understand, in how I've been helping clients, how important it is for them to have sovereignty in their money. And I'm seeing that now, where I've worked with clients, and since last year, they may have decided they wanted to purchase a property, and the value of that property, because they're in the US, that value of the value of their dollar has gone down, and the cost of their property has gone up significantly. And so people are now, my messages are overflowing of, how do I keep my money strong? What do I do? What do I do? And now I have an option to be able to talk to them more educatedly about Bitcoin. And so that's what's really, really cool about today. And you are the builders of this technology, of this infrastructure. I am simply a student, but my purview is that Africa is the classroom, and it presents such a unique opportunity that we've never had, I think, in the history, where Africa is rising, the world is paying attention, and Africans are claiming, and essentially they're claiming their power, and they're amplifying it, and they're not asking for permission. So why does Africa create such a unique classroom perspective for Bitcoin? Well, Africa's already shown they can leapfrog. They can leapfrog in education, telecommunications, through going from landlines directly to mobile. They've already shown that they can participate in informal trade. So I know, they're from the Intercontinental African Trade Agreement that isn't formally very strong. It's in works. I know where to go in town to get some fantastic Malawian rice. I know where to get some authentic Ghanaian shea butter because there are informal trades happening, and Africans have always found a way. And this is being here and seeing all of the developers and the way they've been able to tackle such a huge challenge in a way that the world is just really not, I think the Western world has not adapted to. South Africa, with the highest adoption of Bitcoin usage across the continent, positions South Africa in a really, really unique perspective as well. And so I think that as we move forward, the biggest challenge in this growth, as the world is paying attention to Africa, is ensuring that trust is built, because that's one of the biggest challenges I think that investors have, not the corporations, because they're coming in droves. One of the biggest things that I've seen last year is record numbers of foreign direct investment, record numbers of tourism being driven up, records of people shifting, moving here, and not the same in the way that they have in the past. People that are coming to the continent now aren't coming to extract. They're coming because they're looking for opportunity, they're looking for safety, and they're looking for a different way, because whatever they're experiencing now in the West is just not working. And they also need to feel a level of trust, as well as people that are here in building together. And this is a unique opportunity that I don't think we've ever had in history, where Bitcoin can play a major part of that, as long as we continue to increase adoption. And the adoption isn't, as you all know, it's not just about the technology. It is about fortifying that level of trust that is needed to continue to build. So from my vantage point, as I was mentioning, seeing foreign direct investment grow higher, I've seen it directly where I am doing this with my clients to structure. So Bitcoin is something that forces you to structure your life in a way that you may have not traditionally done before. And so as I've been working with clients and helping them structure their investments, structure their residency, I now see a use case for Bitcoin in a way that I never have. And as more people are doing that, we're also seeing governments make it more difficult for them to do it. We're seeing passport challenges, transferring money, and this type of economic development requires permissionless action. And so it's one of the biggest things that I'm working with clients on is, have your systems set up in a way that helps you to not only make your move comfortably, but do so in a way that gives you the confidence to be able to diversify, to move around. And in the event that you want to take a trip, move, relocate, reinvest into a different market, your money is protected and you're not at the helm of the government, because if your money isn't free, neither are you. How much more time do I have? That one isn't moving. So, and when we're doing this with them, the responsibility, I know I've taken some time to really ground myself and settle into understanding culture and understanding, what is driving the shift. Outside of fear, most people really just want to see unification. And I think being at this conference and being amongst you Bitcoiners, I've learned to see the way money is moving very differently. And as adoption does grow closer, as you continue to build, as you continue to onboard, as you continue to lower the barriers of entry, be thinking about, my ask to you isn't as an expert, it's as a person that's seeing the amount of people coming into the continent that are seeing the opportunity because of the amount of culture that is resonating to the world, the amount of demand that the world has on Africa's resources, and as you know, the foreign powers are starting to decline. Treat Africa not as the trend that the world sees it as, but as the vision for the equality, the unity, and the peace I think that the world is looking at. This is a pivotal time where Africa is creating more demand for its resources, for its lifestyle, for its culture than it ever has before. And as someone who is seeing that global movement of people and money in this time, lowering the barriers of entry and putting Africa in a position as a long-term commitment is essentially going to help people to help to level the playing field. I think we all have seen here in Cape Town what that looks like in the scheme of, in the way that we see the gaps, right? We see it around, we're here, we're in it, and we see the disparity locally. The only way that we can, in my purview, not to replace African currency or not to replace what is here, but to do it in tandem, is to continue building. Please, like, continue building these processes, continue onboarding people, teaching, because Africa, no continent this wealthy, this rich, deserves to have its currency owned by other people, and doing it in a way that keeps people underserved, underrepresented, because they don't have access to the simple things that we all deserve. And so as a student, I want to thank everyone here that is building and creating communities for Bitcoin and solving problems and asking questions, because Africa deserves that future. And as, I guess, you know, an official orange pill as of yesterday, I want to thank you all for building. And so you can, if you have any questions, feel free. So we were at the table and wanting to tip the performers last night, Bitcoin. And I've been, you know, like I said, I was introduced in 2016, and I still had some kind of leftover. And when I tried to access it here, I struggled. And so I'd been playing around, I say the last few months, on trying to figure out how to get on a platform to be able to access that coin. And yesterday, like, I mean, in a matter of less than 10 minutes, I was able to download a wallet, and then get Bitcoin, and then, or sats, and then share sats. Yeah, and then that was it for me. That was really it for me. Thanks for asking. Anyone else?
Have you spent any yet?
I have not. Sorry? No, because I didn't have enough battery to download the wallet, then move the things. No, but well, yeah, because fees, right? Yeah. But I mean, no, I'm really looking forward to it. I think one of the, honestly, the biggest things is now being able to offer this to people that have already an intention on shifting their money, but I'm seeing it now. Like, it takes essentially a week for us to get USD, sometimes less, sometimes more, and for people to be able to protect themselves. I mean, it's the best option. I work with mostly, I'd say, boomers that are retiring, but they want to buy businesses, they want to invest, right? They want to be able to do things impactfully. And I think not only is it great for them, but it's great for the surrounding community, especially for the folks that are interested in relocating to South Africa and investing in South Africa. So I can now actually offer it as a perspective based on the small amounts that I know, but have now connected with experts that can take them to the next level. Thank you.